we need laws that protect our children, not protect corrupt attorneys and judges. That's what we're fighting for, and we need oversight agencies which are independent. You can't have attorneys or judges overseeing other judges.
Exactly.
And, there is no oversight of the judges here. And they do whatever they can to stop us. Now, I'm a journalist. I was in Judge Matthew Cooper's courtroom covering what was one of the most egregious abuses of due process I've seen, where he actually issued a press release to his friends in the New York Post before he'd even started the trial, announcing he was sanctioning an attorney, Anthony Zappin, who had taken him on, who was saying, I'm not going to stand for any of this. And he said, well, you are abusing your duties as an officer of the court by talking back to me. He fined him and issued this statement that Mr. Zappin had been guilty of a maelstrom of misconduct. The next day, Mr. Zappin was fired from his $230,000 a year job with Mintz Levin, a leading law company, which was exactly what Judge Cooper wanted to do, wrecking his career. He then issued an order that he would have to pay imputed income on salary, on money he no longer received, and led to a series of decisions where Mr. Zappin no longer sees his son, which is, of course, what the family court are seeking to do, right from the top in the federal divisions down to the lowest family court, which is to traffic children into single-parent families. Now, in this case, I was covering this case, and I was accused by the mother's attorney of recording the proceedings. And Judge Cooper hauled me up onto the stand and ordered me to hand over my phone, which I refused to do. Said I have a First Amendment right to cover this. And he said, you don't have First Amendment rights. And I says, well, I have, what were you doing? Were you recording this? And I said, I don't accept this court's jurisdiction to harass a member of the press. And I have a Fifth Amendment right not to speak. You don't have a Fifth Amendment right. And I said, well, actually, I have a right to an attorney. I said, you don't have a right to an attorney. And my attorney happened to be the attorney for Mr. Zappin. And I said, well, I want him to defend myself. You don't have that right. You're going down. You're going down for the weekend to Rikers Island, and you can come back and answer a contempt hearing on Monday morning. Of course, I was absolutely terrified about this. Sure. I had a daughter who I was due to be taken care of that weekend. And this was a classic case of intimidation of even the press. And this is something little known, is the collusive relationship between the court system, particularly the Supreme Court, people like Matthew Cooper and his boss, and in the press. They literally have these journalists on speed dial, and the journalists from the established press are just terrified of losing their right of access into the court if they don't basically run all of the stories which the court want them to do. I then took Cooper to the appellate division, seeking an order for cameras to be allowed into courts, which we all know is an absolutely essential part of transparency. We must be able to see what's going on. Absolutely. But the whole thing is veiled in secrecy. And I managed to get a hearing in front of Judge Sachs, an appellate division judge, who, of course, was best mates with Judge Cooper. And without any concern for the public interest of New York citizens in knowing what's going on. And this, so, I've gone through, I'm learning fast what this monstrous maze is.
It's by coincidence. I just want to introduce you because I don't think you can see us. I know you're on Skype, but you can't see us. Gary Jacobs happened to stop by. He's a friend of the show and a dear friend to me. I don't know if you're familiar with Gary's. He's the president of the American Political Forum. And it's interesting because you're telling your story, and he had a similar problem, not as extensive as yours, in covering my own case where photos weren't allowed in the courtroom. You were restricted somewhat in covering the event. And Sebastian, did you actually spend jail time? or you were threatened with jail time?
No, I didn't in the end because uh, the attorney had made a false allegation that I was recording the proceedings. I'm not going to state whether or not I was recording the proceedings, but there was no evidence for it. And thank goodness my attorney, David Shaw, who is one of the few certified ethical matrimonial attorneys that the FCLU accredit, we're trying to bring together ethical matrimonial attorneys. I know that sounds like an oxymoron.
David is a good guy.
Yeah, so he was there, and he said, "Well, where's the evidence? You know, you can't just falsely imprison him. There's a constitutional right on that, I think, is right." So in the end, he had to step back. And it's funny. I was up there on the attorney witness stand. Well, I'm a journalist. I looked. It was right next to the judge, Judge Matthew Cooper, and he had a little post-it which said, "Speak less." You know, he is clearly hot-headed, has anger issues, and even he knows that he speaks too much when he gets upset. And in the end, he said, "You know, you record it if you want. Why not let the whole world know about it?" And just this puerile behavior of a judge. But very, very intimidating. I was extremely intimidated by this, and that's why I sought to get some kind of correction for this, because they shouldn't be doing. Judges shouldn't be allowed to harass the press. And what I then found out was that he was misstating the record. The actual record did not correspond with. I did get hold of a recording of those proceedings, and it did not correspond to the official record that his stenographer, who, by the way, was employed on his recommendation and only gets her jobs if she does exactly what the judges want her to do, was not the same. It was a falsified record. And I brought this to the attention of the appellate division. And again, they did absolutely nothing. They didn't investigate. And here's a very clear falsification of the record, which is happening throughout the family courts in this country. And it's being allowed because we don't have cameras in, we don't have observers in. That's what we have to do. We are the last agents of oversight, journalists, social media operatives, and we have to defend our children by stopping these abusers.
It comes at tremendous risk, and you're an established journalist, and it's interesting to listen to how you're intimidated, because I'm not a constitutional scholar, but I do believe that the press is the only occupation that's protected specifically by the Constitution. Am I right on this?
That I don't know about.
I think it's the press only, like this, protected by.
Yeah.
And we have to look back.
Freedom of the press, it's specified. So.
Yeah. So, I find it amazing that they could do these things, and again, it's going to take us speaking.